Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Okay, this really sucks. The Mets get shut out again. Their bats lifeless again. 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position again, and it is a 2-0 loss. Third consecutive loss for the Mets. First time that has happened all season long, and I think that this is probably the worst point of the season for 2025. We thought it was going to be this weekend after losing 2 out of 3 to the Yankees in the Bronx. We thought it couldn't get any worse after last night where the Mets just barely can scrape across 1 run in a very winnable game. And then they come out tonight, they get another great pitching performance from Clay Holmes, and they completely waste it. Shut out 2-0 by the Red Sox. That is the final score. Mets lose their 3rd straight. What's up, guys? I am Tony Metro. If you're new to the channel, I do daily Mets streams after these games. Unfortunately, lately it's been way too many losses, way too many negative. Really pissed off Tony Metro after these games lately, as the Mets have now lost 5 of their last 6. They are 10-12 in their last 22, and they fall now a full game behind the Philadelphia Phillies in the National League East for first place. Probably going to end up a game and a half behind the Phillies by the end of the night, as they are leading the Colorado Rockies at the moment right now out in Denver. Things are not going very well, but you guys should still subscribe to me, because I do a lot of fun stuff on here. Daily Mets content. You can check it all out. Just released my video earlier this weekend, how the 1992 Mets became the worst team that money can buy. You guys can check that out after the stream. And leave this stream a like. Really helps the channel go a long way. And more fun video content coming out. You can also check me out on all my different platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All the links to those are down in the description below. I mean, what else can you say? What else can you say about this offense? It has been putrid. I've never seen anything like it. Not since 2015, which ironically, last time the Mets did not hit a home run in 7 consecutive games came in 2015. The Mets just accomplished that here in 2025 over the last 7. They cannot hit water from a boat right now. The Mets offense is in absolute shambles. 3 hits yesterday. They get just 4 hits today. And as we know, the horrible bugaboo that is hitting with runners in scoring position, it is this team's kryptonite right now. I went over the numbers yesterday on my YouTube short, and I went over it in a TikTok if you guys follow me on there as well. 9 for their last 54 with runners in scoring position. They have left 53 men on base in their prior 6 games to this one tonight. That was a 167 average. And how do they follow it up tonight? Let's see. 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Their average now with RISP has dropped to 214. That is the 25th worst in all of baseball. The Mets offense cannot do anything right now. I mean, this has just been absolutely brutal. The Mets multiple opportunities in this one once again, and just cannot find a way to score runs. I mean, I said it yesterday, it just feels basically like you don't expect them to get a base hit with runners aboard. You automatically assume that any rally that they're trying to get started is going to immediately end, whether it's a double play, a weak ground out, a pop out, a strikeout, you name it, the Mets will find a way to kill a rally lately. This has just been so miserable to watch. I mean, you go down 1-0 on the barely home run into the first row from Narvaez, and you're just thinking it's over. There's no way the Mets are going to win this game. And how pathetic is that? That the Mets can't score a single run for Clay Holmes now in back-to-back starts. This is only the 3rd time the Mets have been shut out this year. The last time was Wednesday when Holmes was pitching against the Pirates in the final game of that series, where he gave up 2 two-run homers. The Mets couldn't do anything on offense. It seems like everything started in that Pirates series. I don't know if Paul Skeens got them all screwed up with that start Monday in the first game of that series, but this has just been a horrible watch. I mean, Lindor goes 1 for 3, grounds into a double play today. Soto, 1 for 3. He ended up having a walk. He also struck out. An 0 for 4 from Pete Alonso. Nimmo, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Vientos had a double off the wall. He also had a strikeout, though. McNeil, somehow, can't believe this, has been the best position player in this lineup for the Mets over the last week and a half. I don't know how it's happening, but that's the case. Alvarez follows up his 2 hits yesterday with an 0 for 4 and a strikeout today. Brett Beatty goes 0 for 3. It is just uncanny how the entire lineup has completely went cold at the same time. It just doesn't make sense. This team is way too talented on paper to have the struggles 1 through 9 the way they have for now going past an entire week. We're talking like 8 games now. We're talking back to the beginning of that Pirates series, the first one against POSTGAME, through that one, through the weekend with the Yankees, and now the first 2 games of this series here with the Red Sox. The Mets have scored 10 runs in their last 7 games now. I mean, think about that. 10 runs in their last 7 games. And that is coming after they hit 9 homers in a 3-game series against the Cubs 2 weekends ago. What happened? I just can't understand. The situational hitting has sucked. They can't do anything with runners in scoring position properly. Even today, I think it was in the 4th inning when the Mets had a leadoff double from Vientos. Hard hit ball by McNeil, of course, diving grab by the first baseman. Then Alvarez hits the ball right back up the middle on the first pitch, deflects off the pitcher's glove, right to the second baseman, who's perfectly positioned right behind him in front of second base. And then it's another hard hit ball down the right field line. Easy play for the first baseman. It's like you can't make it up. It just feels like, number one, the Mets are hitting like crap. They're having horrible approaches at the plate, whether there's men on base or not. And 2, it feels like the teams we're playing are just making every play, are always perfectly in a position to make a play. And that's just kind of what happens when things are bad, and things are bad right now for the Mets, no doubt about it. But wow, I mean, this is as bad of a slump as I have seen a Mets lineup in a long, long time. Maybe since that 2015 era of the Mets, prior to the second half, after acquiring Cespedes and getting David Wright back and Daniel Murphy going on his tear. I mean, this is ineptitude to a entirely different level that we have not seen, in my opinion, in years. I'm sure there were a couple of streaks in there, knowing the Mets throughout that time since, where we definitely saw it. But wow, this is, given the expectations of this lineup, you could have rolled out John Mayberry Jr. and Michael Kadire as your 3 and 4 hitters tonight, and I would have believed the final box score. 4 hits for them tonight. 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position after going 1 for 7 yesterday, after going 1 for 7 on Saturday and on Sunday, and I believe it was 2 for 11 on Friday against the Yankees. This has just been miserable. Another great performance from Clay Holmes. Did as well as he could to keep the Mets in this game for as long as he could. Walked in and out of some trouble those first inning or two, and eventually caves, gives up a home run into the first row over the Green Monster. Solo shot, though, to Carlos Narvaez. Unfortunately, gave up another solo shot opposite field from Rafael Devers there in that same inning over the Monster. Again, first row. And even though it was only the 5th inning, you just knew the game was over. You knew the Mets were not going to put up a fight offensively, and they didn't. It was I think a 7-pitch inning for the Red Sox reliever there in the 8th inning. A couple easy ground ball outs. In fact, Cohen and the rest of the SNY broadcast were saying that it was something like 9 consecutive ground outs leading into that 9th inning. After McNeil's ground out for the second out in the 9th inning there, I believe it was 9 consecutive ground outs, and I think it was 13 of their 26 outs tonight. Half of their outs were ground balls. What is going on? I'm not going to get into the analytics of launch angle and, all that stuff. I don't pretend to know enough information about that. That's what Eric Chavez, Jeremy Barnes, and the hitting coaches should be working on with these guys. We know how important that is to modern day baseball, that players are aware of it, that they're working on it. How do you hit 13 ground balls in a game? I can't understand what is happening to this offense right now. It has been such a slog to watch. And meanwhile, on the other side for Boston, they only get 5 hits. And that's thanks, again, to some really great pitching from the Mets. But they found a way to put the ball in the air, hit 2 home runs, and that was all they needed. Mets offense completely inept once again in this one. Holmes ends up going 6 innings, gives up 4 hits, 2 of them to solo shots, has 5 strikeouts, walked 3 guys. Kranick comes in, finishes out the job for the Mets, 2 innings, shutout ball, gave up 1 hit, and struck out 2 guys. What more could you ask for? What more could you ask for in a hitter's park when your pitchers are going out there just like Senga did yesterday, 6 innings, 2 runs, and the Mets still found, or 3 runs. Mets still couldn't do enough on offense to get them the win. And then today, 6 innings, 2 runs from Clay Holmes. Kranick gives you 2 scoreless out of the bullpen, and the Mets bats can't get the job done. I don't understand it. I am at a loss for words. It may not seem like it based on how I'm talking in this stream right now, but I'm disgusted with this team right now. I really can't believe the fall from grace that they've had literally from a week ago. You know, last Sunday, we were coming off 2 out of 3 against the Cubs. The offense was looking great. And now, ever since then, it's like a switch has been flipped. It doesn't even feel like the same team. It does not look like the same lineup that we were watching the first month and a half of this season. And slowly but steadily, this team is starting to lose their grasp on that 10 games over 500. They are now officially 9 games over 500. They were 12 over. Now they've lost 3 in a row. They are now 29-20. The Phillies already leapfrogged the Mets in first in the National League East. They lead us by a half a game. It's now 1 game for the moment. And if the Phillies do win today against the Rockies, which they were leading 3-0 last I checked in, they are going to go up a game and a half on the Mets in the National League East. There's no more resting your laurels as a Mets fan of saying, oh, well, we're 12, 13 games over 500. It's fine. Look at the record. Oh, you know, we're still in first place in the NL East. No, all that is out the window. It's over. This team now has a dogfight in front of them. They need to fight out of this adversity. Somehow, some way. I don't know if it's a shakeup in the lineup. I don't know if it's taking a good hard look at Eric Chavez and the hitting coaching, whatever you want to call him, hitting coach, him and Jeremy Barnes. But something is not right about this team. Even when they were performing well and scoring more in the early part of the season, something still didn't feel totally right about this offense. And I think it's a philosophy thing at this point. I can barely spit the words out. I think it's got to be a philosophical thing at this point. They are taking fastballs right down the middle. You saw Francisco Alvarez there in the second inning take a called third strike from Walker Buehler right down the middle. Couldn't have been any more center cut than that pitch was. He got fooled, clearly, was thinking breaking ball, off-speed pitch, and it was a fastball down the middle. But there's something not right about the philosophy that this hitting staff is employing on this lineup. There's no reason that a group as talented as this one, 1 through 9, should be getting shut out, scoring 1 run yesterday, scoring 2 runs and 3 runs on Saturday and on Sunday, 2 runs on Friday before that. Before that, on Wednesday, they get shut out against the Pirates. Tuesday, they scored 2 runs. The day before that, they only scored 4. They haven't scored more than 5 runs in a game in over 9 days. Just 10 runs now in their last 7 games. 3rd time of the year they have now been shut out. Second time in this last week. And what did I say? Yeah, 10 runs in their last 7 games. Yeah. 1 home run in their last 7 games. The last one was Brett Beatty's solo homer last Tuesday that ended up being the game winner against the Pirates in that one. I mean, it's just hard to believe. Hard to believe what a fall from grace this Mets lineup has had. And it has only been magnified and exacerbated by the struggles of the top of the lineup. Francisco Lindor was 1 for 23 at one point entering this game here tonight. He ended up with a base hit. He did steal a base. He also got caught stealing with 1 out and Juan Soto at the plate, who promptly grounded out himself. From that point, you just knew. It's not our night. Again, how many times have we had to say that, though, over the last week? It's not our night. At some point, it's just going to become a serious issue that it's never going to be our night. that they're just going to keep losing games, sinking further into the abyss, falling further and further behind the Phillies in the National League. It's really just been night and day from what we saw at the beginning of the year with this offense. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. I cannot believe this. We get a tweet here from Steve Cohen. Welcome to the ups and downs of a baseball season. This too will pass. LGM. Yeah. How about we fire the hitting coach? Why don't we get rid of Eric Chavez and then maybe see how that passes? Because I am not a fan of this guy. And whatever he's telling them, whatever he is saying in their ear is obviously not working. At the end of the day, I really never believed that a hitting coach had that much impact on the actual players and on the lineup. But this team is just way too talented to not be producing. I mean, even at average levels, like this is well below mediocre. This is embarrassing levels. I cannot even believe how meek, how just futile this lineup has looked for an entire week now. Walker Buehler gets ejected in the middle of the third inning, and the Mets can't do anything against the Red Sox bullpen for the final 6 1/3, 6 2/3 outs or whatever it was. It was the same story yesterday. Red Sox starting pitcher, the rookie Dobbins, only went, I think, 4 1/3 innings. And the Mets couldn't do anything against that bullpen. So you're telling me then after all the time that the Phillies had to, or the Red Sox had to throw their bullpen yesterday, and then having to do it again here today, the Mets lineup couldn't find a way to scratch across even one run against a beleaguered bullpen for the Sox? Something ain't right. Something ain't right, and the longer this goes on, the longer I'm starting to think it is a philosophical thing, and I think it starts with Eric Chavez, with Jeremy Barnes, with the hitting coaches, whatever tactics, whatever type of mindset that they are imploring on this lineup is not working. This has just been an unbelievably tough watch for the last week. Key moments in this one, as far as the offense, like I said, that was in the second inning, first and second, 1 out. Alvarez, 3-2 count, takes a fastball right down the middle. Could not have been any more center cut than it was. That was our first 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. Beautiful play, by the way, that will be completely forgotten by Brandon Nimmo, catching that line drive in left field and then throwing out the runner at home. That was probably the best throw that Brandon Nimmo has ever made in his major league career. That was on the money. Congrats to him on that. Unfortunately, it will be forgotten because, again, the Mets offense just does absolutely nothing. And he's responsible for that too. An 0 for 4 from Brandon Nimmo tonight. Just, I am so frustrated right now by this team. Yet, Alvarez striking out in that situation. Brett Beatty with a little weak fly out to left field, then following that one up. So there's your 0 for 2 so far with runners in scoring position. You get first and second. Lindor hit by a pitch. Juan Soto walked in the third inning. Pete Alonso grounded out softly, and then Nimmo flew out. So another 2 at-bats with no hits and runners in scoring position. There's your 0 for 4. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Vientos, leadoff double. McNeil, this one just sucked. McNeil hit that ball on the screws. Diving stop by Sogard at first. And that's just the way the ball has been rolling for this team lately. It seems like even when they do hit the ball hard, they're making a great play. The opposition is perfectly positioned up the middle. They're making a diving catch in the outfield. It's deflecting off the pitcher's glove right to the guy behind him. That has just been how it's going. But you get a leadoff double there in the fourth inning when you're starved for runs, and the Mets still can't find a way to score a run. Alvarez, first pitch swinging, taps it back to the pitcher, hits off his glove. Right behind him, of course, with the infield in is the second baseman, throws him out for the second out, and then Beatty, a line out to first base. He also hit that ball on the screws. In that inning, Mets go 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. There's your 0 for 7 on the night. And from the rest of the lineup, for the rest of the game from there on out, I mean, it was nothing. It was really nothing. Lindor had a 1-out single in the fifth, tried to steal second, got thrown out. Soto would get a single, and then Alonso would ground into a force out. Sixth inning, Nimmo called out on strikes. Vientos strikes out, swinging. Jeff McNeil, who just continues to get on base, drew a walk. And then Francisco Alvarez grounds out again, killing some worms, just pounding it into the dirt. Brett Beatty in the 7th, ground out. Taylor got a base hit. Lindor grounds into a double play. What the hell is going on with Francisco Lindor? He has earned some runway, some, credit in the bank with the Mets fan, but this has been a brutal stretch. We're all on Juan Soto right now. Lindor has been horrific over the last week and a half. Since the end of that Cubs series, since that game-winning homer he hit on that Sunday afternoon, he has been brutal. It has just been such a difficult watch for this team. And then in the 8th, a 7-pitch inning. What do you know? Juan Soto ground out to second base. Been seeing a lot of that lately. Pete Alonso ground out. Nimmo ground out. 9th inning. Vientos ground out. McNeil ground out. Something like 9 of their final 11 outs were all ground outs on the ground. I mean, just absolutely horrible performance. And now it only gets more difficult. Tomorrow the Mets will look to avoid being swept for the first time this season, and it's not going to be easy. Tomorrow, Garrett Crochet on the mound for the Red Sox, and the Mets throwing Tyler McGill, who we know has not been good in his last 3 appearances. The pitching matchup does not favor the Mets at all tomorrow, and I think there is a very good chance that the Mets are staring down the barrel of a sweep at the hands of Boston, 4 consecutive losses, and very likely, if the Phillies do what they should do, beating the Rockies tonight, beating them tomorrow, and then, oh, by the way, it's a 4-game series in Denver. There's a very good chance that Friday, when the Mets are back in action, they are 2.5 or even 3 games behind Philadelphia in the National League East. It sucks. It is what it is. I mean, the offense has completely let the rest of this team down. The pitching has been great. 6 innings, 2 runs from Holmes. Only blemish on his resume are 2 solo homers that just barely get into the first row of the Green Monster. Yesterday, Senga, difficult first 2 innings, gives up 3 runs, bulldogs his way to 6. That's offense. Hangs them both out to dry. Brutal. All right, well, look, we're going to wrap this one up. Guys, I appreciate you being in the stream, checking it out. It's been a really rough week for the Mets, but keep it tuned. We'll have another post-game stream after the game tomorrow. Hopefully the Mets can snap it. If not, hopefully the Knicks at least win their game against the Pacers in the opening game of the Eastern Conference Finals at Madison Square Garden. But, guys, I really appreciate you all tuning in. Be sure to check out my other video that's on my channel right now, how the 1992 Mets became the worst team that money can buy. We really appreciate you guys going and watching that one, giving it a like if you do enjoy it. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Again, the Mets shut out for the 3rd time this year. They fall for the 3rd consecutive game, a final of 2-0 at the hands of Boston. That is going to do it for right now. Until next time, though, I am Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.